Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the 10th of November 1938, was a Turkish army officer, revolutionary, and the first president of Turkey. He is credited with being the founder of the Republic of Turkey. His surname, Atatürk, was granted to him in 1934 and forbidden to any other person by the Turkish parliament. Atatürk was a military officer during World War I. Following the defeat of the Ottoman Empire in World War I, he led the Turkish national movement in the Turkish War of Independence. Having established a provisional government in Ankara, he defeated the forces sent by the Allies. His military campaigns led to victory in the Turkish War of Independence. Atatürk then embarked upon a program of political, economic, and cultural reforms, seeking to transform the former Ottoman Empire into a modern and secular nation-state. Under his leadership, thousands of new schools were built, primary education was made free and compulsory, and women were given equal civil and political rights, while the burden of taxation on peasants was reduced. His government also carried out an extensive policy of Turkification. The principles of Atatürk's reforms, upon which modern Turkey was established, are referred to as Kemalism. Early life. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk was born in the early months of 1881, either in the Ahmet Subasi neighborhood or at a house in İzlahane Street in the Kokakasımpaşa neighborhood in Salonika, Ottoman Empire. To Zübeyde Hanım, a housewife, and Ali Reza Effendi, a militia officer, title deed clerk and lumber trader. Only one of Mustafa's siblings, a sister named Makbule, survived childhood. She died in 1956. According to Andrew Mango, his family was Muslim, Turkish-speaking and precariously middle class. His father Ali Reza is thought to have been of Albanian origin by some authors, however, according to many more references as Fale Rifkaete, Vamikdi, Volkan, Norman Itzkowitz, Mujgan Kunber, Numan Kartal and Hassan Izzat and Dynamo. Ali Reza's ancestors were Turks, ultimately descending from Suk in the Aydın province of Anatolia. His mother Zübeyde is thought to have been of Turkish origin, and according to Savket Şuraya Aydemir, she was of Yorick ancestry. Due to the sizable minority of Jews in Selanik during the Ottoman period, many of Atatürk's Islamist opponents have eagerly claimed that he may have Donma ancestors. However, his grandparents were not native to Selanik, and his family had moved to this city in the late 19th century, from other provinces of the Ottoman Empire. There are also some suggestions about the possibility of his Slavic origin, based on his light skin complexion, blonde hair and blue eyes. He was born Mustafa, and his second name Kemal was given to him by his mathematics teacher, Captain Uskutlu Mustafa Effendi, in admiration of his capability and maturity, according to Afet İnan, and, according to Ali Fuat Sebasoy, because his teacher wanted to distinguish his student who had the same name as him. Although his biographer Andrew Mango suggests that he may have chosen the name himself as a tribute to the nationalist poet Nami Kemal. In his early years, his mother encouraged Mustafa Kemal to attend a religious school, something he did reluctantly and only briefly. Later, he attended the Semzi Effendi school at the direction of his father. In 1896, he enrolled into the Monastir Military High School. On 14 March 1899, he enrolled at the Ottoman Military Academy in the neighborhood of Pangulti within the Izli district of the Ottoman capital city Constantinople, and graduated in 1902. He later graduated from the Ottoman Military College in Constantinople on the 11th of January 1905. Military career. Early years. Shortly after graduation, he was arrested by the police for his anti-monarchist activities. Following a confinement of several months, he was released only with the support of Reza Pasha, his former school director. After his release, Mustafa Kemal was assigned to the 5th Army based in Damascus as a staff captain in the company of Ali Fuat and Lutfi Muffet. He joined a small secret revolutionary society of reformist officers led by a merchant Mustafa Elvan called Vatan ve Hurriyet. On 20 June 1907, he was promoted to the rank of senior captain and on 13 October 1907, assigned to the headquarters of the Third Army in Monastir. He joined the Committee of Union and Progress with membership number 322, although in later years he became known for his opposition to, and frequent criticism of, the policies pursued by the KUP leadership. On the 22nd of June 1908, he was appointed the inspector of the Ottoman railways in eastern Rumelia. In July 1908, he played a role in the Young Turk Revolution which seized power from Sultan Abdülhamid II and restored the constitutional monarchy. He was proposing depoliticization in the army, a proposal which was disliked by the leaders of the KUP. As a result, he was sent away to Tripolitania Vilayet under the pretext of suppressing a tribal rebellion towards the end of 1908. According to Mikush, however, he volunteered for this mission. He suppressed the revolt and returned to Istanbul in January 1909. In April 1909 in Istanbul, a group of soldiers began a counter-revolution. Mustafa Kemal was instrumental in suppressing the revolt. In 1910 he was called to the Ottoman provinces in Albania. At that time Isa Bolatini was leading Albanian uprisings in Kosovo and there were revolts in Albania. In 1910 he met with Ikaram Vlora, the Albanian lord, politician, writer, and one of the signatories of Albanian Declaration of Independence. Later, in the autumn of 1910, he was among the Ottoman military observers who attended the Picardy army maneuvers in France, and in 1911, served at the Ministry of War in Istanbul for a short time. Italo-Turkish War. In 1911, he was assigned to the Ottoman Tripolitania Vilayet to fight in the Italo-Turkish War, mainly in the areas near Benghazi, Derna and Tobruk against a 150,000-strong Italian amphibious assault force. Had to be counted by 20,000 Bedouins and 8,000 Turks a short time before Italy declared war. A large portion of the Ottoman troops in Libya were sent to the Ottoman province of Yemen in order to put down the rebellion there. So the Ottoman government was caught with inadequate resources to counter the Italians in Libya, and the British government, which militarily controlled the de jure Ottoman provinces of Egypt and Sudan since the Urabi revolt in 1882, did not allow the Ottoman government to send additional Ottoman troops to Libya through Egypt, causing the Ottoman soldiers like Mustafa Kemal to go to Libya either dressed as Arabs or through very few available ferries. However, despite all the hardships, Mustafa Kemal's forces in Libya managed to repel the Italians on a number of occasions, such as the Battle of Tobruk on the 22nd of December 1911. During the Battle of Derna on 16-17 January 1912, while Mustafa Kemal was assaulting the Italian-controlled fortress of Kasri Harun, 2 Italian planes dropped bombs on the Ottoman forces and a piece of limestone from a damaged building's rubble entered Mustafa Kemal's left eye, which caused a permanent damage on his left eye's tissue, but not total loss of sight. He received medical treatment for nearly a month. He attempted to leave the Red Crescent's health facilities after only 2 weeks, but when his eye's situation worsened, he had to return and resume treatment. On 6 March 1912, Mustafa Kemal became the commander of the Ottoman forces in Derna. He managed to defend and retain the city and its surrounding region until the end of the Italo-Turkish War on 18 October 1912. Mustafa Kemal, Enver Bey, Fethi Bey and the other Ottoman military commanders in Libya had to return to Ottoman Europe following the outbreak of the Balkan Wars on 8 October 1912, due to which the Ottoman government agreed to surrender the provinces of Tripolitania, Fezzan and Cyrenaica to the Kingdom of Italy with the Treaty of Auchi signed 10 days later, on 18 October. Balkan Wars. On 1 December 1912, Mustafa Kemal arrived at his new headquarters on the Gallipoli Peninsula, and during the First Balkan War, he took part in the amphibious landing at Bulair on the coast of Thrace that was commanded by bin Barsif at Bay. But this offensive was repulsed during the Battle of Bulair by Georgy Todorov's 7th Ryla Infantry Division under the command of Stilian Kovachov's Bulgarian 4th Army. In June 1913, during the Second Balkan War, he took part in the Ottoman army forces commanded by Cemal Enver Bey that recovered Dimtoka and Edion together with most of eastern Thrace from the Bulgarians. In 1913, he was appointed the Ottoman military attaché to all Balkan states and promoted to the rank of Kaymakam on 1 March 1914. First World War. In 1914, the Ottoman Empire entered the European and Middle Eastern theaters of World War I. Allied with the Central Powers, Mustafa Kemal was given the task of organizing and commanding the 19th Division attached to the 5th Army during the Battle of Gallipoli. Mustafa Kemal became the frontline commander after correctly anticipating where the Allies would attack and holding his position until they retreated. Following the Battle of Gallipoli, Mustafa Kemal served in Edion until 14 January 1916. He was then assigned to the command of the 16th Corps of the Second Army and sent to the Caucasus campaign after the massive Russian offensive had reached key Anatolian cities. On 7 August, Mustafa Kemal rallied his troops and mounted a counter-offensive. Two of his divisions captured Bitlis and Meuse, upsetting the calculations of the Russian command. Following this victory, the Kup government in Constantinople proposed to establish a new army in Hejaz and appoint Mustafa Kemal to its command, but he refused the proposal and this army was never established. Instead, on 7 March 1917, Mustafa Kemal Pasha was promoted from the command of the 16th Corps to the overall command of the Second Army. Although the Tsar's armies were soon withdrawn when the Russian Revolution erupted, in July 1917, he was appointed to the command of the 7th Army, replacing Fevzi Pasha on 7 August 1917, who was under the command of the German General Erich von Falkenhayn's Yildirim Army Group. Mustafa Kemal Pasha could not get along well with General von Falkenhayn. Together with Muralay Ismet Bey, wrote a report to Grand Vizier Talat Pasha regarding the grim situation and lack of adequate resources in the Palestinian front, but Talat Pasha ignored their observations and refused their suggestion to form a stronger defensive line to the north, in Ottoman Syria, with Turks instead of Germans in command. Following the rejection of his report, Mustafa Kemal resigned from the 7th Army and returned to Constantinople. There, he was assigned with the task of accompanying the Crown Prince Mehmed Vahdettin during his train trip to Austria-Hungary and Germany. While in Germany, Mustafa Kemal visited the German lines in the West European front and came to the conclusion that the Central Powers would soon lose the war. He did not hesitate to openly express this opinion to Kaiser Wilhelm II and his high-ranking generals in first person. During the return trip, he briefly stayed in Karlsbad and Vienna for medical treatment. When Mehmed VI became the new Sultan of the Ottoman Empire in July 1918, he called Mustafa Kemal Pasha to Constantinople, and in August 1918 assigned him to the command of the 7th Army in Palestine. Mustafa Kemal arrived in Aleppo on 26 August 1918, then continued south to his headquarters in Nablus. The 7th Army was holding the central sector of the front lines. On 19 September, at the beginning of the Battle of Megiddo, the 8th Army was holding the coastal flank, but fell apart and Liman Pasha ordered the 7th Army to withdraw to the north in order to prevent the British from conducting a short envelopment to the Jordan River. The 7th Army retired towards the Jordan River but was destroyed by British aerial bombardment during its retreat from Nablus on 21 September 1918. but Mustafa Kemal managed to form a defense line to the north of Aleppo. According to Lord Conross, Mustafa Kemal was the only Turkish general in the war who never suffered a defeat. The Armistice of Mudros was signed on 30 October 1918, and all German and Austro-Hungarian troops in the Ottoman Empire were granted ample time to withdraw. On 31 October, he was appointed to the command of the Yildirim Army Group, replacing Liman von Sanders. He organized the distribution of weapons to the civilians in Antep in case of a defensive conflict against the invading Allies. Mustafa Kemal Pasha's last active service in the Ottoman army was organizing the return of the troops left behind to the south of this line. In early November 1918, the Yildirim Army Group was officially dissolved and Mustafa Kemal returned to and occupied Constantinople, the Ottoman capital, on 13 November 1918. For a period he worked at the headquarters of the Ministry of War in Constantinople and continued his activities in this city until 16 May 1919. Along the established lines of the partitioning of the Ottoman Empire, the Allies occupied Anatolia. The occupation of Constantinople, which was followed by the occupation of Izmir, sparked the establishment of the Turkish national movement and the Turkish War of Independence. Turkish War of Independence. Farayaveri Hazret Iseri Merliva. Mustafa Kemal Pasha was assigned as the inspector of the 9th Army Troops Inspectorate to reorganize what remained of the Ottoman military units and to improve internal security. On 30 April 1919, on 19 May 1919, he reached Samsun. His first goal was the establishment of an organized national movement against the occupying forces. In June 1919, he issued the Amasya Circular, declaring the independence of the country was in danger. He resigned from the Ottoman army on 8 July and the Ottoman government issued a warrant for his arrest. Later, he was condemned to death. On 4 September 1919, he assembled a congress in Sivas. Those who opposed the Allies in various provinces in Turkey issued a declaration named Misak-i Milli. Mustafa Kemal was appointed as the head of the executive committee of the Congress. This gave Mustafa Kemal the legitimacy he needed for his future politics. The last election to the Ottoman parliament, held in December 1919, gave a sweeping majority to candidates of the Association for Defense of Rights for Anatolia and Rumelia, headed by Mustafa Kemal, who himself remained in Ankara. The fourth term of the parliament opened in Constantinople on 12 January 1920. It was dissolved by British forces on 18 March 1920, shortly after it adopted the Misak-i Milli. Mustafa Kemal called for a national election to establish a new Turkish parliament seated in Ankara, the Grand National Assembly. On 23 April 1920, the GNA opened with Mustafa Kemal as the speaker. This act effectively created the situation of diarchy in the country. On 10 August 1920, the Ottoman Grand Vizier Damit Ferhat Pasha signed the Treaty of Chevreuse, finalizing plans for the partitioning of the Ottoman Empire, including the regions that Turkish nationals viewed as their heartland. Mustafa Kemal insisted on the country's complete independence and the safeguarding of interests of the Turkish majority on Turkish soil. He persuaded the GNA to gather a national army. The GNA army faced the Caliphate army propped up by the Allied occupation forces and had the immediate task of fighting the Armenian forces in the Eastern Front and the Greek forces advancing eastward from Smyrna that they had occupied in May 1919, on the Western Front. In January 1920, Mustafa Kemal advanced his troops into Marish, where the Battle of Marish ensued against the French Armenian Legion. The battle resulted in a Turkish victory alongside the massacres of 5,000–12,000 Armenians, spelling the end of the remaining Armenian population in the region. The GNA military successes against the Democratic Republic of Armenia in the autumn of 1920 and later against the Greeks were made possible by a steady supply of gold and armaments to the Kemalists from the Russian Bolshevik government from the autumn 1920 onwards. After a series of battles during the Greco-Turkish War, the Greek army advanced as far as the Sakarya River, just 80 kilometers west of the GNA. On 5 August 1921, Mustafa Kemal was promoted to Commander-in-Chief of the forces by the GNA. The ensuing Battle of Sakarya was fought from 23 August to 13 September 1921 and ended with the defeat of the Greeks. After this victory, on 19 September 1921, Mustafa Kemal Pasha was given by the Grand National Assembly the rank of Marquis and the title of Ghazi. The Allies, ignoring the extent of Kemal's successes, hoped to impose a modified version of the Treaty of Chevreuse as a peace settlement on Ankara, but the proposal was rejected. In August 1922, Kemal launched an all-out attack on the Greek lines at Afyonkarahisar in the Battle of Damlupınar, and Turkish forces regained control of Smyrna on 9 September 1922. On 10 September 1922, Mustafa Kemal sent a telegram to the League of Nations saying that the Turkish population was so worked up that the Ankara government would not be responsible for massacres. Establishment of the Republic of Turkey. The Conference of Lausanne began on 21 November 1922. Turkey, represented by Ismet İnönü of the GNA, refused any proposal that would compromise Turkish sovereignty, such as the control of Turkish finances, the capitulations, the Straits and other issues. Although the conference halted on 4 February, it continued after 23 April mainly on the economic issues. On 24 July 1923, the Treaty of Lausanne was signed by the powers with the GNA, thus recognizing the latter as the government of Turkey. On 29 October 1923, the Republic of Turkey was proclaimed. Since then, Republic Day has been celebrated as a national holiday on this date.